People with Down syndrome are at high risk of many diseases, impairments, and illnesses. However, most people are affected by heart defects which can become severe. Other high-risk issues include diabetes, ear infections, pneumonia, hearing loss, and visual impairments. Alzheimer's is also closely related to Down syndrome in old age. Other symptoms include an intelligence quotient of mild to moderately low range and difficulty in their short-term and working memory. Even though 6,000 babies are born with Down syndrome every year, there are very little medical studies happening. There are scarce funds and interests. However, Dr. Alberto Costa has a daughter with Down syndrome. In his clinical trials, men and women with Down syndrome took Mematine for 16 weeks. Mematine is a drug that is usually used for people with Alzheimer's. The subjects showed significant improvement in one of 5 key memory tests compared to others who took placebos. Although it is not huge results, it is one of the only advancements in research of Down syndrome. Students with Down syndrome are very much visual and kinesthetic learners, so try to use objects and cues to pair with words, or use concrete objects like manipulatives to practice ideas like adding. Avoid large groups or whole classrooms activities unless they have an aid. Some ways to help with their focus is to do one activity at a time, have a minimal amount of distractions, and break directions into smaller steps. An important tip is to remember that students with Down syndrome can learn, so keep expectations for behavior, ability, and attitude high. Pen Again is an assistive technology that has no grip requirement. You can let your thumb and fingers rest on the pen lightly. This pen requires more movement from the index finger's upper joint and the wrist. You do not need to grip the pen at all. This makes students use good hand posture. This is perfect for students with Down syndrome because their fine motor skills are poorly developed. Foam core page fluffers are attached to the pages of books or binders, making it easier for you to turn the pages. The page fluffers are connected with paper clips so you can take them off to preserve the book or reuse them. Other technologies include talking calculators, larger prints, pencil grips, and recorded books. There are so many hotlines, organizations, therapy clinics, and blogs that give support to families who are caring for loved ones with Down syndrome. The IDEA actually has a link on their website where they recommend the Parents Place Corporation. You can type in the zip code to find the closest location to you. The Down Syndrome Parent Group is an organization that is recommended by the National Down Syndrome Society. Dads Appreciating Down Syndrome is within the Down Syndrome Parent Group. They have special events, blogs, fundraisers, and therapies for fathers of children with Down syndrome. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the life expectancy of people with Down syndrome increased dramatically between 1960 and 2007. In 1960, on average, people with Down syndrome lived to be about 10 years old. In 2007, it had increased to 47 years old. As of 2017, the life expectancy is in the 60s. Families with children aged 0 to 4 years with private insurance have an average medical care costs that are 12 times higher for children with Down syndrome compared to children of the same age without. For infants with Down syndrome and are born with heart defects, have healthcare costs that are 5 times higher in the first year of life than for infants with Down syndrome who did not have a heart defect. Considering all of the risks and boundaries that people with Down syndrome face, meet these people who are fighting them. This is Madeline Stewart. She is 18 years old and has signed with many lines of clothing and accessories in her modeling career. This is Tim Harris. He owns and operates his own restaurant called Tim's Place. Whether you become a general educator or a special educator, how would you encourage children with Down syndrome to push boundaries and succeed? Think about the simplest of tasks, like finishing a book, making new friends, and writing their name. Or think big, like thriving in their career branch like Madeline and Tim. What are some of the boundaries that Tim and Madeline might face? For example, Madeline is in the modeling business, but she has facial features like the slanted eyes and a flattened face that might not be as welcomed in the modeling industry.
created using Powtoon.